Okay. So I'm going to talk about what it's going to do, what you have to do to protect your trees from rodents. And I know it's a boring subject, it's a painful subject, and it's a subject when you're talking to people, their eyes glaze over. And, oops.
Sorry.
Okay. Their eyes glaze over, and they're like, I have to do that? I just want to plant trees. And so you have to encourage people to protect their trees from rodents. And I call deer and bear large rodents. The small rodents we all know about: mice, voles, moles, rats, squirrels, chipmunks, raccoons, and skunks. Yes, skunks is in there too because they don't like climb the trees and go after nuts, but they dig at the roots, especially if you have mulch sitting there. They will gladly dig through that mulch looking for grubs. And birds, we have a big problem in our area with blue jays stealing your nuts and crows actually yanking the little seedlings out of the ground. So that's an issue. We don't have bears yet, but one time we have bears sightings like crazy around here now. They're actually moving into the area. And I had a DEC agent said, well, how often do you see bears in your orchard? I go, never. I've never seen a bear yet. He goes, oh, we use hazelnuts for bait. And I'm like, great. So we're getting bears. I haven't seen them yet, but they're close. Oops, wrong direction. So, like I told you before, you really got to protect our trees from all the animals that we have around here. We don't have a dirt floor, dry summer. We have rain periodically all throughout the seasons. We have lots of grass, lots of growth. You have to mow the orchard somewhat to keep the grass down for many reasons. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the thing is, most people start out with individually caging trees. And actually, that's a lie too. Most people just plant trees. Then they see their damage that gets done to the trees. Then they go, okay, I got to do something. So then they put a cage around it. And then if they have 20 or 30 trees, maintaining those cages gets to be a pain. Then they start saying, all right, I guess I have to put up a fence. And then you start talking about what kind of fence to put up. Then you say, all right, once you put up a fence, that's not really good enough yet. You really need to put something around the base of the tree to protect that tree from mice, voles, moles, and all the things that want to eat the roots and bark off the tree when the tree's nice and young and the bark's really thin and tasty, especially in the wintertime. So once you talk somebody through that, and once they experience the pain of seeing the trees get damaged, then they'll listen. But I'm here to tell you first, really plan on tree protection right off the bat. Please. And I have people complain that the tree died and it's my fault, and I see the tree, it's been chewed on, and it's still my fault. So I get a little sensitive. So I'm pleading with you as a nursery guy, please protect your trees. Anyway, so individual trees, you start with caging, but you really do need the fence. I'm not going to get into the details of fencing because it's only 10 minutes. But you do need to protect against small rodents as well. So even if you put up a fence, that's not going to protect you from the small guys. So we put a hardware cloth cage around each tree. So here's a picture of a caged tree. You can see it's growing nice and tall. It's not been mowed down by deer. 4 foot doesn't quite cut it for deer. You really should be like 5 foot. If you can only find 4 foot fence, put a second layer up. Overlap it, cut it in half, make it 5 or 6 feet tall. Stake it well. 2 stakes doesn't quite cut it. I put 3 in. That's pretty much for the cages. That's what everybody starts out at. That's why I started out at. And then you can talk about, all right, now I'm going to put up a fence. There's plastic and then there's metal. I put up the plastic fence, yes, and I learned. It works for 5 to 7 years. It's easy to install. You don't need any heavy equipment, and so that's the allure. But the problem is it takes a lot more manual labor to put up than a metal fence. But a metal fence really requires you to have equipment, and so that's the issue you got to worry about. So it lasts 5 to 7 years. Don't need equipment. That's about all it's good for. I've watched a buck ram the fence. He smelled something he wanted to go after on the other side of the fence, and he just kept ramming the fence. And his antlers got tangled up. He ripped the fence up pretty good. And he gave up, thank God. But he was nose blind. He was going to go where his nose told him to go, and it was kind of weird to see. But I switched out the plastic fence for a metal fence. And one of the reasons is when you're putting up the plastic fence, you'll see that wire out across the top. The fence actually hangs on that wire. And you can see it's just plastic mesh. A healthy buck can rip through that. We actually initially used a plastic gate too. It hangs like a curtain. You just slide it across. Use carabiners to hold it closed. If you don't have much deer pressure, I think a plastic fence is fine. But around here, you generally have a lot of deer pressure. Metal fence is great. It should last 25 years, but you do need equipment to put it up. And it does go up quick. You can put up 6-8 acre fence in like 2 or 3 days if you have the equipment. Here's a picture of a fence. You do have to put up twitch wire or some kind of way of tensioning the corners. This is like what a corner looks like, where you have to reinforce the corners. There's the equipment I'm talking about, a fence installer. I made my own initially. Now I bought another one, and actually it's 8 foot tall. But I made it out of 2 pipes and a 3-point hitch attachment. Slide the pipe on, put the roll underneath, slide the pipe in. 2 guys lift it up, tilt it up back into place, hook it to the top link. Literally 30,000 parts. I had a fence installer. Hardware cloth cage against all the little bugs. 2 bamboo stakes, hardware cloth roll, cut it out about 20 inches, tie it together with nye ties on the bamboo stake at the same time, and it protects your trees. You have to stake it. You cannot put hardware cloth on the ground and think it's going to protect your trees. Mice and rodents will get underneath there and build a nest thinking they're protected from everything. I've seen it too many times where they just slide it on and don't stake it. You have to stake it, work its way in the ground about an inch, and stake it well, nye tie it, wire tie it, string tie it, but keep it in the ground and your trees will be protected. And you only have to do this for 2 years because then it's not attractive to the mice and voles. Then you can take that off and reuse it elsewhere. I'm not a big fan around here of using tree tubes. I'm okay with it if you put them on after the tree senesces for the fall, and then take them off in the springtime before the buds really elongate. That is a good application of tree tubes. If you put tree tubes on all summer long, the trees go tall and spindly. They come out of the top of the tube, get a windstorm, and they snap. Or the tube itself bends and snaps. Partial mitigation is if you use fiberglass stakes. That helps. But from what I've seen around here with the wind we get and keeping the tree hardy and protected, hardware cloth cage by far is the best and probably cheapest. The other thing for birds is noisemakers. There's reflectors and decoys. That works for about a week or 2, then they seem to ignore it. Then you got bangers. That works for a week. That actually works longer, but your neighbors will hate you. So I can't do that. I use the Bird Expeller Pro. I only put it out once I start seeing nuts being stolen. And I rotate the sounds around because it's bird distress calls. Basically, it's a hawk killing a bird, that type of noise. And the bird's like dying and it scripts. So it's kind of scary sounds, but it works. Again, only for 2 or 3 weeks. And you can change the sounds every couple days. You can just hit dip switches. It'll work for like 10 days on a small car battery, untouched by you. You can have it come on 24 hours a day or only during the daylight. So it works okay, but there's new things out now which I don't know about. Water sprays and lasers. There's a nice laser out there now. It's $3,000. It looks for movement and shoots a laser beam at the movement. It's a little expensive, but I don't know. I like to have somebody tell me if it works or not. And that's pretty much it.